Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome to another video. Today, we're going to be looking at and reviewing the Blackest Night Omnibus. This has been a long time coming, so I appreciate everyone's patience in the matter. Um, Another little tidbit, I guess, is a hint towards a future video to come out soon. I got a bunch of new books, and that's just one of my shelves. I have a Marvel shelf over here to my left that you guys can't see. Starts off actually down there at the there's a lot of content to come to this channel. I'm really excited. Uh, yeah, really excited to say the least. But anyways, let's get into the review. I know that's what you guys are here for. This is the Blackest Night Omnibus. It's a chonky boy. It's over 1,600 pages, just short of 1,700 if I'm not mistaken. Very thick. That's how we like the Omnis, though. This is the 10th anniversary version. Now this book retails for $1.95. Rightfully so. It's got a lot of content in it. Man, even think that I have to say all this. Blackest Night 0 through 8, Blackest Night Tales of the Core 1 through 3, Untold Tales of Blackest Night 1, Green Lantern 43 through 52, Green Lantern Core 39 through 47, Blackest Night Batman 1 through 3, Blackest Night Superman 1 through 3, Blackest Night Wonder Woman 1 through 3, Blackest Night Flash 1 through 3, Blackest Night Titans 1 through 3, Blackest Night JSA 1 through 3, Adventure Comics 4, 5, and 7, Starman 81, The Power of Shazam number 48, The Question 37, Phantom Stranger 42, Catwoman 83, Weird Western Tales 71, Green Arrow 30, and Adam and Hawkman 46. It also includes over 50 pages of additional character sketches, which I can vouch for, because once I got to the back, I was like, holy crap, these are all, there's not even comics here, it's literally just all sketches. So yeah, but what does it look like without the sleeve on? Without the sleeve, you can see a lot of, different heroes who appear to have become Black Lanterns. I guess you can figure out why when you read the book, or I guess technically you'll see some. So maybe you'll find out by the end of this video. So be aware, there are spoilers in this, because this is a big event. So to avoid it would be, well, almost impossible. Now, of course, this is the Omni format. There's a couple different ways this is collected. There's a box set. There's, like a trade paperback collection. Lots of different stuff. But to give you a general idea, basically this character, William Hand, he slaughters his family, and then kills himself, and then becomes like basically a link between the world of death and the world of the living. And so then things kind of start to go awry when he starts walking around, and let's just say graves are left a little bit desecrated. We get to see different heroes. Barry Allen's Flash has just recently returned, and it's a memorial day for everyone. Now here's where stuff starts to kick off. This is where Barry learns about all the people who died while he was dead. He just recently came back. This is like at the end of like the Wade and Jeff John run. So right before, probably, I don't want to know, maybe like, I'm trying to think of the most accurate time slot, but basically if you were going to be reading The Flash, you would probably read this sometime during the Jeff Johns run of The Flash, because that includes when Barry's back, as well as while Wally is The Flash. Here we see, of course, Hawkman struggling to deal with the fact that Hawkgirl doesn't remember the past life and therefore doesn't love him back. We're also seeing the Guardians, complaining about the fact that they have to worry about this Blackest Night, or the War of Light, basically. Here we see Hawkman fighting off against what appears to be an undead Ralph. Skip a few pages for you. Basically, Black Hand is going around and raising the dead. He's brought back Aquaman. He tried to bring back Dawn Hall, aka one of the Doves, but it didn't work. So that's a little bit of a mystery there for you as to what exactly is going on there. And so we kind of just see slowly but surely Black Hand like infecting different beings and bringing them back to life. Some, however, still have some semblance of control while they've been brought back. I will say this, the art is phenomenal. Like, this is probably one of the most beautiful Omnis I have ever read. If you're wondering, okay, what do I need to read before I read this, I'll go over that at the end of the review. But here we're basically getting introduced to, the different spectra, lights on the spectrum. We're seeing a bunch of, like, crossovers. We're seeing different characters getting involved. Superboy Prime, for example. And we're slowly starting to learn, essentially, how these undead beings are working. Because when we first start off, we're like, holy crap, we have no clue how this works. We start to learn that if, a Black Lantern can kill a hero, with the right circumstances, it can actually bring back that hero as a Black Lantern. So it's pretty screwed up. We actually see here they bring back the Tim Drake and Dick Grayson's parents and use them as a form of torture. So basically, anyone with like emotional ties to characters in the DC universe is being brought back to be used against them because these Black Lanterns are killing in order to take over the emotional spectrum and destroy it. Basically, if someone can feel an emotion, then their heart is ripe for the picking. Black Lanterns um, kill this person by ripping out their heart, and their power levels slightly increase, similar to what you'd see when a Green Lantern charges up his ring. Although this is at a much slower pace, and it, of course, takes the lives of thousands. As you can see here, we've got different colors being shown, will, rage, fear. So there's a constant highlight on what these things can see and what emotions these characters are feeling. Love, rage, will, rage, right? So we see all how all these different characters are being impacted by what's occurring. A lot of different heroes get brought back, some villains as well. One really interesting aspect is the fact that they refer to a lot of previous Crisis events. So they refer to pretty much any rebirth event that's occurred. Hal Jordan coming back to life, Superman coming back, death and return, stuff like that. Even Barry Allen's recent return from the dead. They also refer to Identity Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different events get brought up, and this event takes place after, for reference, it takes place after Final Crisis in terms of placement. Because in this, we're entering the book, and spoiler, I guess, Batman is dead. No longer the Batman. So this is in reference to an event that took place close to Infinite Crisis, which was, of course, Wonder Woman killing Maxwell Lord. Because he took control of Superman. And so we're seeing them basically battle and clash with all their past issues and mistakes. Everything that they've done wrong is kind of coming back to them 10 times stronger. We're seeing also the clashes of the different emotional spectrums, the goods and bads, the ins and outs. And look at these beautiful spread pages. I absolutely love. That's another thing. Spread pages. They actually work pretty well on this. Even towards the end of the Omni, the spread pages are pretty nice. Whereas in other formats that I've read, I found that the spread pages weren't that great. And I'm talking about other formats of this. But this one is probably by far my favorite and best reading experience of the Blackest Night. I've read it in, at this point now, 3 different formats. The paperback in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern Omnibus Volume 2, because it's also included in there. Because this is a largely, powered, of course, by the lanterns, the emotional spectrum, all that Jeff Johns was doing with the Green Lanterns. But this, so far, is my favorite format. So, once again, a reference to the idea of someone feeling emotion in the heart being able to be pulled out of them. Now, I will say this: if you're looking at this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're showing me all these people dying," this is major spoilers. To begin with, this event's been out for quite a while, so I don't find that a lot of this is really spoiler material. And furthermore, like, this is DC. People who die don't stay dead, realistically. We see a lot of different tie-ins, like the ones I mentioned. We got some Flash stuff going on. We get to know a little bit more about Green Arrow, which I appreciated. And once again, a beautiful spread page showing Black Canary fight against, well, undead version of Green Arrow. And Green Arrow, of course, backing, basically saying, yeah, good job, keep it up. Because, well, basically, some living characters who have, relations to what's going on right now have been, well, taken over. Here's a spread page. I find that the face spread pages are a bit harder to swallow, but in this format, even, like, we're past the halfway point, and the eye is beautifully open. Very easy to see a lot of these. Honestly, if you don't even care about the Blackest Night event, I'd read this just for the art. If I'm being 100% honest. Now, this is very, it has that Jeff Johns stamp on it. It's quite dark. To some extent, I feel it's a little unnecessary. But also, like, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you understand what you're getting into, if you comprehend the fact that you're going to see a lot of dark and gritty stuff, then this book's perfect. But if you go into this thinking, oh, this is going to be one of those events where, it's that classic good bad struggle. I mean, yeah, there's some of that too, but there's some pretty messed up stuff in here. Um, Pretty messed up stuff to say the least. This is probably one of the darker stories I've read. These last few issues are a bit of a slog, if I'm being honest, except for the ones where there's actual text. There's a lot of issues just kind of showing off the different characters and their origin stories, which at the end of the event isn't really as important to me, but still a good read if you're interested. Of course, we get the end pages, well, the concept art. That's that. Hey guys, that's the Omni. To give you an idea of what the eye looks like, I'll give you a nice little middle point here. Opens up real nice. Like, this is a really nice spread. So all the spread pages are pretty much like little to no gutter loss. Really well made. That's just my case. I don't know if that's for every book. Ultimately, I found that the Blackest Night, although a little bit overtly dark, was really good. The art is spectacular. Storytelling is really great. Of course, getting to see like all the different past events kind of come to fruition or kind of just be referenced to also provides that level of connectivity that someone might enjoy when it comes to reading long arcs. Um, yeah, I really did enjoy this work. One thing I will say though is the little tidbits and stuff that they refer to, I think it'd be beneficial to get some kind of information on them first before you read them. Like, it's not necessary at all. You could go into this and not know about any of the events, and like, you'll enjoy the book just fine. But in my opinion, if you understand what's happened in the past, it makes this book so much more enjoyable. You understand where the characters are coming from, what events that are being referenced on another level. But I want to emphasize this: it is not important to the point where it's like you cannot read this book without having read the other events. So some books that I think would be important to read are Identity Crisis is one that I think got referenced quite a bit in the first half of the book. Um, if you really want to, you could go look at some of the Rebirth ones. So Hal coming back, Superman coming back, but I really don't think those are too important. Just understand that these characters have died in the past and then eventually back. Um, and then yeah, maybe just some of the other Crisis events. Like Final Crisis for context and maybe why Batman's not there. Um, Infinite Crisis on context as to why certain characters are dead and why they're coming back to kind of face the heroes that we're seeing. Those two events I think would be helpful. Um, Stuff like that, ultimately. But like I said, not absolutely necessary. Just in my opinion, it improves the quality of the read. This book, I would highly recommend someone give this a read if you haven't read it already. This is probably the best format that I've read this in thus far. Like the only second best format I've read it in is the Jeff Johns Green Lantern. That's another thing too, is that I guess if you really want to get the most out of this book, probably have read at least the first Green Lantern omnibus of Jeff Johns, and then maybe the second Omni up until the Blackest Night event. Something that I would do, I'd recommend, is like reading the first Green Lantern Omni, reading the second one until the Blackest Night event, and then read the Blackest Night event in this Omni format instead of reading it out of that book. Don't get me wrong, you can still just literally read that event and just kind of continue through because like it's good, but this kind of gives you all the ins and outs of what's happened. So if you're a completionist like myself, then I'd recommend this. If you only really care about seeing the core aspects of what's occurring in the event and not seeing what's happening behind the scenes as well, you could easily just read this in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern volume. But yeah, ultimately it's up to personal preference, however you spend your money, however you feel. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any recommendations, because this was one of them. So thank you, Omri, for recommending that I read this book. I'm happy to have finally provided the content that you've been requesting for a while. So stay safe and healthy, guys. Hope to see you in the next video.